Yes. Okay, adjust first.
Okay. Sound test. Can everybody hear us? Okay, just make a cue the sound.
Okay, good. No problem.
Cue, yeah. Can hear, wonderful. Stella. I need to, everybody must be able to see four of us. Testing. All right, cool. All good.
No worry. Okay, guys, let's have some adjustment first because it's the first time that I was invited all the way to the west. So I traveled 1 hour to the west just now during the thunderstorm and heavy traffic to Mr. Lu's place. All right. So what a pleasure and honorable evening today. Okay, I think right now we have more guys who are coming to join us pretty soon. So while we are joining, right, probably who are the, probably can I have a show of hand, who are the first, who are having your first time with us attending our webinar? Just probably you just type one. Okay, just type one. Okay, we have a Vanessa. Okay, Izadi. Okay,
Lionel, my friend. I can see you.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Toby. Okay, Toby as well. All right, today we're going to have a very interesting topic, and tonight, and while we're waiting for more and more of the crowd who are going to join us, okay, we have 90 plus. Okay, probably I just share with you guys, okay, how I get to know Mr. Lu. All right. Just for intro, I'm a full-time real estate practitioner, so-called real estate agent in property line for the last 13 years as a full-time. So what happened is that back in 2018, I went to attend a seminar. It's on CPF that's organized by CPF at Suntec City. And that was the time where I get to hear how Mr. Lu share with us about the greatness of CPF and how you can be a millionaire for CPF. So I was really impressed and I was inspired because back then in 2017 and prior to that, 2016, I've been contributing my CPF with no clear direction what was the true purpose of contribution. But eventually, during the seminar, I start to be very clear about myself that my contribution of CPF is not only for the purpose of tax relief, but it's also to plan for my retirement. That is 1M65. In fact, I did a calculation for myself. 1M55 is also possible. Okay, it depends on how you contribute. Now, so as a result, one of the day where I shamelessly talked to I actually so-called I text Mr. Lu that I want to meet him. That was in 2018. And then I went all the way to town area to meet him. And that was a time where actually I have this strong sense of mission. Just in me. I want to set up my own academy one day to share about the greatness of CPF to as many people as possible. But because of my profession, I'm in real estate, the first line of people that I can share to are all the property agents. And that's where in 2019, I set up my Dragon Learning Resources Academy, where the agents actually so-called, I think some of my friends who attend my course, they're invited here tonight, where they will never fail to hear some sharing on CPF. That's for me. So I try to share to as many people as possible because I want this awareness to be made probably to as many people as possible in a way that I want to pay forward of what Mr. Lu so-called share with us. And this is the way. And probably just to share with all of you, that's how Dragon Learning Resources came about. Just because with a strong sense of mission that I want to share about CPF. And of course, apart from that, we want as many public to know about CPF as well as other knowledge regarding to investment as well. All right. So this is how we get to know each other. Okay, right now we have around 100 plus people coming in. All right, I've prepared a polling for all of you. All right. So while we are waiting for them, right? Okay, just help me to okay, I'll just get the poll started and just help me to the so-called to fill up so that I want to have a general demographic profile of all of you who are attending the webinar today, so that at least we can fine-tune the level of so-called not chim, the level of what do you call that? the level of cheapness, is it?
Content.
Content that we can share to you based on the majority of the demographic profile of some of you, okay, or majority of all of you. So let me start the poll and let me launch the poll right now. Okay, so now, okay, come. It'll be a quick one. 120 of you. We have 120 people right now.
Okay, majority above 35. Okay, that's we should more. If 35, choose above 35. Someone was above
okay,
35.
so we have 91 who has poll. How about the rest? 28 of you. So how many years old are you? Or probably some of you are just turning on and probably away from your desk. Come. So okay, we have 78% of the crowd here. Audience here, 77% who are above 35 years old. Okay, so I believe most of you are property owner. Okay, good. Very good.
Okay, so tonight we have got an exciting show ahead. I actually have been holding myself back to talk about this. Now, some of you all have this perception that Mr. Lu hates property, you know, but yet I always partner this property guru, this property expert here. So how can I be a person that hates property? But the problem is that there's a lot of misconception about property, and there's a lot of Singaporeans that are xiao about property, you know, xiao, utterly xiao, fanatical, passionate, to the point that become blind. And you know, when something about investment I would like to share with you all is that in investment, you cannot have emotions. You cannot feel for your investments, you know, meaning that you cannot be happy when your investment goes up. You can't be sad when investment goes down. Okay, so when you are dealing with investment, okay, especially in a very passionate topic by most Singaporeans like property, you know, it's a very emotional topic. Okay, I say a little bit back on it. Wow, everybody's, you know, side bar, you know, give me a few slap here and there. Like I think it was yesterday, I talked bad about property only. Wow, the whole world come clobbering after me, you know, the 1665 group. In fact, some people even unlike me, unfollow me. You know, don't need to be so 小气, right? You know,
okay lah. Today we're not here to argue lah.
Small matter.
We're not here to argue lah. We're good friend lah. We're good friend lah. I mean, everybody has their own point lah. Of course, Mr. Lu has his own experiences of property investment. That it turned out to be probably negative experience for him. For probably some of us, it's a positive experiences. And for probably some of you who are also into stock, just like Mr. Lu, some of you also cannot take it because if you're into US stock market, right, everything is roller coaster. And by monitoring the stock market every night, right, you lose your sleep. You lose your health as well. So it depends on what is your appetite as well. All right. Okay, good. So now my number one poll, okay. Okay, majority of you are 80%. Okay, I would say almost 80% are quite established right now, probably above 35 years old. Okay, so I'm going to end this poll. Now, I have a second poll as well. Okay, I'm going to share result. Now, so this is the majority of the people who are here today. 80% of you are above 35 years old right now. Okay, I'm going to, okay, and then just hold on first. Okay, let me end this first. Okay, good. Now I have another poll upcoming, so this will be another question. All right, just share result. Okay, and then stop sharing. Okay, and I need to go to my number 2, poll number 2. I'm going to launch it. So, okay, everything is anonymous, okay, because I've set anonymous. So just feel free to fill up and to post so that we know what is the demographic profile of all of you at the background. All right, we have 140 of you here. All right. So are you owning any property? No. 25% not owning any property. 43% of you are heartlander, just like us, you know, 40%, okay.
20% of them are owning condo and EC.
Okay, I'm looking.
Please don't get offended by what I'm going to say tonight.
21% own one condo or at least one EC. Okay.
Oh, actually 30%.
2% are lender owner here. That's very interesting.
30, almost 40% have at least a condo.
That's
great.
Very
cool.
good. Okay, so interesting polling. Okay, 5 more seconds to fill up. Okay, 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End the poll. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question before we do a presentation? For those who own a condo, what is the main? Just type in the chat. What's the main reason why you want to you own a condo? You know, and it's very personal. So yeah. Later we talk about my weight loss. Okay, condo, I will sell it to buy HDB for facilities, for investment. Very good. Go on. Lifestyle, very good. Go on. Oh boy. Not eligible to get HDB.
Condo for lifestyle, for kids, yeah, swimming pool, right?
Investment grant,
Investment, passive income
Very
for
good.
rental. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Mabel. Okay, thank you, Mabel.
Lifestyle.
Yeah,
A lot of lifestyle.
Mm.
No need wait so long. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Jackson Young.
For investment. Okay.
Investment. Okay. Good. Thank you so much.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Now.
Thanch you.
Let me
Long-term potential. Okay.
So I've shared the result. Now stop sharing result, and then I'm going to launch my poll number 3, and that's the last poll. Okay. Very important, because this is very sensitive. Because Mr. Lu kena once in his lifetime, and then he stopped believing in property. So I'm going to launch now this question.
Okay.
So have you ever made a loss from a property transaction, or you made profit from your property transaction? Okay, good. Wow. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 who lost money. 7. Okay, not applicable to you. Okay, doesn't matter. Not applicable. It doesn't matter. Sorry. Yeah, because we are trying to have a few. Probably you're below 30. You haven't started your first property as yet. All right.
Yeah, I've made a loss and I made profit before. So also have.
Okay.
Yeah, but profit is a very controversial thing. How do you calculate profit?
Junies haven't sell anything yet. Or profit. Profit definitely, yeah. Because it involves stamp fee, it involves your interest as well. So
not realized yet. Okay.
Okay, not realized yet. Okay. But currently valuation has exceeded mine. Okay.
I think when you talk about profit, and I'll talk about it later, we have to see profit in respect to the buying price, and the profit respect to what if had you left the money there, and then profit what if you put the money elsewhere. Okay, so there are very different tiers of profit, but simplistically speaking, we're just talking about accounting profit. Your buy price and sell price, there's a difference. Okay.
Okay, so now, a total of around 80 people of you, I think 67 has actually voted. All right, there's 45% of you. So I don't know what happened to the 55%. Probably it's not applicable. Now I'm going to end the poll now so that you have a good feel of the result as well. So out of 100% of who has involved in the polling, okay, the result is 18% or close to 20% has lost money from a property transaction. All right, so this is something that Mr. Lu want to address tonight, and probably is for me to rectify or address as well. All right, but it's for sharing. Okay, we are here. We are all good friends. We're not here to argue which is better, stock market or property.
Sure.
All right, good. So let me end this poll, and let me allow Mr. Lu to start his sharing first. Okay, just hold on, Mr. Lu. Let me share the screen on your slide.
Okay. So while Dragon is sharing, some of your so just now there was a lady, I think I kind of what lady or man asked me, how did I lose so much weight? Okay, I've lost a total of 14 kilograms in 3.5.
Hello.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. The mic is off. So sorry about that.
So anyway, this is the reason. So we're talking about weight loss. Okay, this is the reason why. On average, a day I walk half a marathon. Okay, that's the main reason why. Just a lot of exercise, watch over diet. Okay. Thank you. I look so good. My wife said ever since I slimmed down, I actually look older. So maybe I shouldn't slim down so much. Okay. But the truth is, after I slim down, I feel a lot more energetic. I feel more with power and energy and passion. So We can do another show, another paper on this.
On health, is it? Remember to take the stairs. Why take the stairs?
他叫你 take the stairs.
叫我 take the stairs.
他说你看起来比较胖一点。
对 ，I'm trying to slim down as well. So I'm on sugarless diet for the last 3 weeks.
That's great.
So it's very, very simple because there's no rice, no carbs. Except few days back, 1 week I have 21 meal. There's only 1 meal I take carbs. So I went for a restaurant.
So it's doing well. It's doing well.
Yeah, because I think that when you reach a certain age, you need to take care of your health. You need to invest, not need in stocks market or property. You need to invest in our health. So I think that this is very important, which we neglect due to our hectic schedule. All right. Okay. Good. So
let's go.
Okay, and then one thing to share. Okay, I understand that I received a lot of inquiry over the last webinar on property related as well. I'm so sorry to you guys who are here today. It's not that I don't have time. I really want to clarify. Just that the question keep coming in. So and lately I'm so busy, overwhelming because the market is really moving very fast. Which I'm going to share with you all something on it as well. All right. Now let me share the screen. Okay. I'll try my best to answer as many questions as possible. Later, when you all have any question, just feel free to ask. We'll address on the spot. Okay. So, Mr. Lu, okay, come share screen. Okay, Mr. Lu, please start.
Thank you. I hope everybody can see the slides. Property is a very passionate topic to all Singaporeans. Okay, and it is true that our forefathers made a lot of money through property, whether is it landed, housing, HDB, or whatsoever. And as a result, everybody historically had this belief that, property is a sure win. And because we think that way, because we think that way, our perception has been carried down through generation. The problem is that over the last 10 to 20 years, things have changed. And I begin to get a lot of followers on 1965 coming to me and say, Mr. Lu, I don't seem to make money. And Mr. Lu, I lost money. Mr. Lu, I am stuck with my property. I'm jobless right now. What do I do? And things like that. So there's a lot of misconception and mistakes that people made. And if I don't share with everybody, it'll be an irresponsibility. But I held back. I've given at least 95 talks now, and I've never had a talk on property, okay, except on the property bull run. But I never talk about whether is it good or bad or buying property or whatever. But today I'll be right smack into it and give you my view. Now I've invited Dragon here, he's a property expert. In fact, he was called the king of EC because he have handled many EC sales to give a balanced view as well. Okay, but before I go on and say, I'm not talking bad about property per se. I'm talking a balanced view on property. Let's go to the first slides. The number one thing that I like to dispel the myth is this. Okay, that condominium or a private property is a trade-off and it's not an upgrade from HDB. I don't know why people have this view as this upgrade. I think it's a very good marketing terms that property agent, property marketing company, property agency, and real estate developers and all this. They all call this expensive-looking condominium an upgrade. Well, it is an upgrade in terms of maybe posh-looking facilities and facade and things like that. But the truth is, it's really a trade-off. Let's talk about facts, okay? Condominium, once you buy a condominium, nowadays, no condominium below $1 million, right?
Yes, you can find.
Very rare.
The new launches, you have 1 bedroom as well.
1 bedroom, okay. So like me, a decent house, very difficult to find condominium of a decent size below $1 million. And most of them are $1 million. So therefore, most of the time, by the time you purchase it, you have your CPF wiped out, okay? I'd like to show you this one. This I just did a back envelope. I just did a back envelope calculation. I feel that most people who buy a condominium, you will take a loan roughly 1 million to 1.5. Okay, and if you stretch it out, so that your monthly mortgage is low, your loan tenure is, let's say, 30 years, and let's assume yes, the interest rate now is very low, but reasonably about 2% over a long run. your monthly mortgage will be between 3,700 to 5,000 plus. Okay, and we're not talking about those super big, expensive, multi-million dollar condo or landed property. For each person who have a job, okay, your CPF maximum contribution is only 37% of 6,000, which means that it's about 2,002, which means that even a husband and wife are working, and then you still have to apportion some for SA and some for MA, your CPF will be wiped out for sure. Okay, and very likely most people have to use cash top up, okay, to pay for their mortgages. Is that common?
It's very common.
It's very common, right?
Yeah, you want to buy a condo that's above 1 year, you want to get a loan that's 1 year and above, likelihood there'll be a top up.
Okay. And therefore, you means that you have to use first of all, you forego, that's what I call a trade-off. You forego your CPF. Remember, this whole movement that I set up is called 1M65, 4M65, right? You first of all have to give up quite a big chunk of that, you know. That means that your CPF will be very humble. Second of all, you have to pay, you know, for service charges, higher property tax. Service charges, what's the average service charge right now?
300, 350. The maintenance, yeah.
That's minimum or on average?
On average, depending on the location of the condo as well. If the condo is in places like B9, 10, those luxury market, probably the maintenance charges get higher as well.
I see.
And if let's say it's a boutique apartment, it can get as high as $500.
Oh wow!
So depending on how big is the size and whether is it a boutique or it's a massive project.
So therefore, there's a lot of cash involved, a lot of cash expenses involved. And my point is that, you know, you really have to do some trade-off. You give up something in exchange for something, okay? And so therefore, it is not so straightforward that, you know, you actually benefit for it. And I think the worst feeling is this one. Burdened by $1 million loan, you cannot afford to lose your job, okay? Most of the time, we don't have $1 million on standby. You say, oh, you know, I lose my job, you know, throw $1 million to cover my loan. Very rare, very rare. Most of us don't have, okay? So therefore, the biggest insecurity you have is something goes wrong in your job, you are finished, okay? And it is a very dangerous thing. And therefore, when I say that condominium and private property is not a upgrade, you know, it's really a trade-off. That's the truth. The word upgrade, you know, you can wipe it out of your mind. It's a trade-off. And it's okay. Some people can do that trade-off. It's fine. It's just like, you know, I can eat a $3 chicken rice. I can eat a $30 restaurant meal as well. That's trade-off, right? But because I can well afford it, it's okay. And most of the time, most Singaporeans don't feel a thing when they do some trade-offs like that. But for property, that trade-off is phenomenal, okay? You actually have lifestyle changes. That's why I wanted to set this thing straight, that number one thing I want to get everybody off their mind is that condominium is not an upgrade from HDB. I am still staying HDB. You know, this is HDB, right?
Yeah, very cozy.
Very nice HDB, but it's still HDB, right? And it's okay, right? And I think there's nothing wrong with owning HDB, okay? So that's my first point. The second point is very controversial, no? And there's a lot of people who actually argue with me on this. They say that, oh, Mr. Lu, HDB, you know, 99 years will go down to zero. It's true, right? It's true. But leasehold, 99 years, condo, also the same thing. Okay, it's also the same thing. You also go down to zero. And I used to have the opinion that HDB will go down faster than leasehold 99. Until I saw a report when I was doing my research. Then I saw this graph. This is a research by NUS and what is that? Institute of Real Estate and Urban Studies. Okay, they did a research and found that over time, it is not true that HDB actually decay faster. In fact, it is the leasehold private property that goes down faster. And you can see, right, over time, the price change, you know, as you grow past 40 years and things like that, they did a lot of research and they found that that is the case. And they published up in a newspaper article in 2019, okay, and came to a study that HDB actually depreciate at a slower rate than private property.
Okay, Mr. Lu, one moment, please. Cheers. Okay, I've received some notification from some of the agents that I invited as well. So, okay, agent friends, agent colleague, you have anything so-called to input, please put in the Q&A or the chat group. Okay, feel free to ask Mr. Lu. All right.
Okay, so it is important to note that, from historical studies that the rate of decay of leasehold private property is actually faster than HDB. Now, we don't end up in a debate whether is it faster or slower. This is what people say. I didn't do a research. These are experts. I'm not the experts in crunching numbers. But my point is that both of them will go down. Now, I think there's some debate whether some people say that, but in leasehold property, you could do an en bloc sale. It is true. Okay. But to get an en bloc now, it's like striking 4D, not every 99-year leasehold private property we can get en bloc. And in fact, everyone buy in the hope of getting en bloc. How easy is to get an en bloc apartment?
En bloc
to be able to buy and pour and kenawan.
I think apart from doing a very sound calculation, right? Very sound calculation. I think that it's important that the developer must find it worthwhile. I think later I'll cover en bloc because that's more technical in terms of calculation and value.
Okay, all right, cool. So it is a very important thing to note that both leasehold property and HDB will decay. You'll all go down to zero. Okay. Now, I don't want to debate which one is faster or slower, but both will. Okay, so get it straight in your mind. There's not much difference. Now, it is true that freehold and leasehold 999 are actually able to decay much slower, but the prices are very, very high. Nowadays, what's the price difference in premium wise in percent? Let's say like to like, side by side, between a freehold versus 99 years?
It depends on how dear the property is.
Yeah, but let's say everything the same.
It's very subjective because it depends on the demand in that particular area. If the area are having some kind of transformation, the young buyer will love to buy something that is newer. Okay, and typically, right, you'll find that despite the fact that the newer condo 99-year lease, right, they're selling higher than the freehold, but yet the prices will still rocket high up because of the demand. People love new things.
I see. Okay, cool. All right. So just get this next point straight is that the decay, the depreciation of HDB and leasehold 99 years private properties are the same. Okay, this one is very interesting. A lot of people have this misconception. A lot of people have said Singapore property prices will never fall. And when I was very young, at 20 over years old, I also believe in that. Believe I see and how, believe. I actually lost quite a bit. I almost went bankrupt because of it. Okay, and that's where I came to this what I call my church always say come to Jesus moment. It's like a sudden awareness that this is one of the biggest misconception. Okay, and some say, property prices will always make money on. Question is, are you sure? Okay, Singapore prices are sure. Let's take a look. I have the privilege of looking at this list. And this is the latest list. And this one. These are registered units right now that's been sold from the peak price. That means that if you see the list, let's look at it, St. Thomas Walk. The highest per square foot was about 3,007. Right now, the 6-month average is about 2,697. So which means that we are actually right now is actually selling at a drop of about 30%. If you look at the whole discount, list there, these are prices that actually has fallen a lot. And you take note that a lot of them are freehold, by the way. Okay, a lot of them are freehold apartments. It doesn't mean freehold will be sulu, It doesn't mean that you won't lose money, Now, there are leasehold as well that lose money, and this is the next lease, okay? And so, if you look at this, some of them has fallen as big as nearly 50%,
I think that it depends on where the location is. For example, if let's say the place is at Sentosa, the reason why there was a discount or why there was no profit is because typically for most Singaporeans like us, we are all the mass market. So there's probably a threshold or probably there's a level of household income that the Singaporean earns. So there's probably a mass market that we can support. But for places where probably Sentosa and they stated here the Birth by the Cove at Sentosa Cove.
It's the newest.
Okay, this is where the foreigner play. So if let's say and these foreigner, they are all the I would say filthy rich. I think they are very, very high net worth individual. You can say filthy rich. filthy rich sounds very envy and very sour. So I said they're high net worth individual. So and how many high net worth individual can you target it to? So typically it's very subjective for property like Sentosa. If there's no taker, means there's no taker. Because I don't think the mass market Singaporean are able to afford that, even though there's a discount. You still need a high net worth individual to purchase this kind of price level.
Cool. All right. So my point about saying this, and this is another set, Marina Bay residents, 50% discount. All these are money losing from the peak. Now, I'm not saying that actually, you will sure lose money. My point is that there are houses that you lose money. You can lose money. Not that I just trying to dispel the myth that Singapore property prices will never fall. Because there are people who say that, oh, your S&P 500 can also fall by 30-50%. So can HDB. No, sorry, so can private property. And to some extent, HDB also can fall. I remember I was, that was a long time ago, 2001, I bought my HDB at 250,000. It fell by $100,000 to 150,000. That's a phenomenal fall as well. Now, will history repeat again? It's hard to say. My point to highlight is that it's a misconception that we need to get in our mind that Singapore property prices will never fall. It is true that if you are good in selection, and it's no different from stock picking, right? If you are really good in it now, people like Dragon and a few other property experts, you probably won't have this risk, okay? But but for a lot of us, it's no different with stock picking. We're very we think that it's very good. Buy, see later. Okay, so. I think the other controversial misconception that I want to address is this, that a lot of them have over-exaggerated property returns, okay? And it's true that our forefathers, I kid you not, my father bought a four-room HDB flat in 1970. In 1970, he bought a HDB flat, he bought it for $14,000. When he sold it 30 years later, he sold it for $150,000. But that's 10 times difference, And it's quite common during those days, you get this kind of returns. Okay, but I think those returns are over. Okay, it is a very controversial comparison. Now, I know I'm a culprit of this. I always like to compare stock returns and property returns. The comparison is very controversial, but I've already proven just now that condo prices can fall by 30 to even 50%. Stocks can also fall by 30 to 50%. And therefore, it is something we all can be aware of. Now, some people say, no, but with property, you will leverage. With stocks, you don't leverage, right? We need to understand that with leverage, yes, you amplify the gains, but you also amplify the losses, And that's something we all can be mindful of. Unless your property really won't lose money, then it's a different story, right? And not to forget that in property, with leverage, there are leverage costs, there's interest payment, and so on, right? And there's always this $1 million lockup feeling is very uncomfortable. You can't change your job and things like that. And it's like stock picking, there is selection risk. If you pick the wrong house, you can die, not that your financials can be ruined. And there's very difficult, I don't know, it's very sexist to say this, but a lot of times many husbands come to me and say, my wife fell in love with their house. See, I have to buy their house. Die, and then you buy the sky high price. So with stocks, you buy at a wrong price. It's okay, most of the time you don't harm everything inside. You will buy and you lose money, but you buy over a long period of time. So the selection risk is not so bad. But with property, how many property can most of us buy? One, maximum two, right? One selection wrong, you are pretty stuck, So the selection risk is very, very, very high.
I choose to differ a bit because sure. Because when you have a property with you, in the worst scenario, if you cannot afford or you have a job loss, that doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll pay it later because the best moment will come later. Now, because in the event where you really need some kind, or you lost your job, probably I believe that a good agent or probably a good financial advisor, they will ask you to set aside 6-month emergency fund. So the question is that, is 6-month emergency fund gao bo? I can tell you bo gao. Why I say bo gao? The best is that as many months as possible. You take a look at Malaysia. How long has the COVID been and how many MCO has them implement? almost 1.5 years. So you ask me if 6 months is it enough? I think to the Malaysia or to the Malaysian who have experienced the MCO disruption to their business, they'll probably tell you that 6 months will go 1 year. All right. And in the event, because I have a physical structure with me, a property, and I have a spare room, can I rent it out? Can I rent it out? I think that you can. But for stock market or for share, right? I need to sell, right? I need to sell. I need to sell in order to cash out. It can be you're selling at a loss. Of course, different thing. Of course, property, we are leveraging on loan to maximize the growth, where the ROI can be pretty good. Now, for the stock market, if I'm going to leverage on margin, wow, easy leh. I think I'm maybe couldn't. But property, if I buy something property, that is within my own comfortability and my own budget and calculation, and I meet a lot of safety net, right? What? I can sleep. I can sleep with a peace of mind at night.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that this is because I'm a person who things are too real time, right? It get me overly excited, and probably because of that, I can easily lose my sleep. Of course, if you want to buy some so-called just buy and dump it there, S&P 500 is probably the S&P 50 is what 500 500 is what Sifu always ask me to buy. Of course, something like ETF. If not, I'm going to buy something that the real time counter. It can be any stock like Boeing, can be any IT stock related. Fluctuation is so high, so fast that probably I don't think whether your heart can take it or not. Yeah, so I'm above 40, so I need to take care of my heart. Yeah. All right. So
Thank
just
you.
continue. Yeah.
Thank you. Now I want to share that that it is possible, okay, to shield yourself from some of this risk. But however, the risk still inherently is there. There is selection risk, okay. The other one is that we rarely see property growth more than 6% a year. Okay, it is true that we leverage. You can multiply depending how much percent growth. So how much you leverage your property. And most of us will not leverage your S&P 500. Although in theory, if you leverage your S&P 500, you will multiply many times, but your risk also increase. And actually, it's not. This is a point that I just highlight. Just say for sake of saying. Okay, why are we so comfortable with leveraging property and not comfortable with leveraging stocks? For two reasons. Number one, you cannot buy property without leveraging. Most of us cannot. Okay, but with S&P 500 or shares, you normally buy in bite size. So therefore, leveraging is less. Okay. Number two is I think it's more the perception that risk is higher when it talks about leveraging. We talk about leveraging in equities. So I think largely because of unfamiliarity, I leverage. I don't have an issue with that.
I need to add in one more point.
Yes, please.
I think largely it's because one thing we are yellow skin I don't care whatever the skin color The important thing is that we are all Asian, and Asian, right, we're into tangible asset, that is property. All right, we're not Amor. Amor, if you're going to spend effort and time to tell them this and that, right, they will die that one to rent. Especially my friend who was married to a German back in Germany. In fact, she was telling me almost all the Amor there, right, they don't buy house, they rent. Because of the previous experiences in World War II, everything was devastated. So they are into rental. So my Sifu here, right, is more Amor Pai one. Amor Pai people, S&P one. All right. For us, right, who are Teng Lang Zeng one, right, or we are so long we are Asian, we're into property as a so-called a safety net for your retirement.
Okay. Now we talk about that. I think I hear this a lot about I get a house, so as in my house, next time, I can always sell it and realize the gains and things like that. Over time, I found that that's not exactly true because a lot of people are used to the house. And I don't know how many people are successfully able to move from a big house to a small house. I realize I can't. I can't because the things are too much. But get used to big spaces and things like that. But that said, all said and done, we currently do have experience a property bull run right now. Thanks to Dragon Tan, who actually told me about this last year, and I went to check. Last year we did a video on a property bull run, and indeed it has happened. It has happened big, and it's still running right now. This guy Tanga, hands on already. Is Tanga Chuga so happy, right? So my point is all the property agents and all the property related businesses are booming right now because we have a huge bull run. But this is what I call a black swan event caused by COVID, right? Not enough BTO houses, people cannot wait. BTO house, how long do you wait now?
I would say 6 to 7 years easily.
6 to 7 years, so CL, no? So therefore, people can't buy resale flat and cannot then all drive resale flat up. The people who enjoy these gains will need to move to somewhere, right?
So what happens is that actually the government itself, I think they're in a very dilemma situation because a lot of construction has to be delayed because of COVID, right? We need to contain it, and Singapore has done well. So far, the safest place I would say in the whole world, right, is none other than China and Singapore, or probably Hong Kong, yeah. So I think that we have done relatively well, but then because the construction to complete of BTO takes 6 years, so it actually so-called drive a lot of buyer back into the resale market, and it drive up the prices over the last 1 year. And interestingly is that because I have few clients, few clienteles who were in the main con industry, and they're telling me that the labor cost of the worker per hour, skilled labor, has increased from $16 to $25. Unskilled labor is around $6.50, right now it's around $10. That's a good 40%. And given that the labor cost went up, the land cost also went up because of the recent bidding by all the private developer, there is no reason for the prices to go down. All right. And why I say the government is in a very dilemma situation, because there's no way to increase supply. We want to increase supply, we need to get all the workers from this. Is it the Southeast Asia country? They tell me from the Southeast Asia country.
East Asian country.
South Asian country.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we need to contain the COVID. Where situation in the country probably is there's a lot of Delta variant going around, and then in Lentin there's this Lambda variant going around. So I think that we're in a dilemma situation. So when supply cannot be massively increased, demand is there, and they don't want to wait too long for 6 years for the BTO. So what will happen to the market? Please think for yourself.
So we do experience, Singapore is right now experiencing a fierce property bull run. Okay. And I think it is a very real thing, but this is a black swan event. It's very difficult to anticipate this kind of. It's not the usual demand supply thing caused by economic growth and more population. It's just simply COVID driven. Yeah. And it is a very interesting phenomena. Okay, it's a very interesting phenomena. And in this whole COVID pandemic, there are a lot of winners and losers, okay? And this is very clearly one. So I wanted to share that this comparison, okay? And it's not a fair comparison because, again, the evidence or leverage and things like that, But I just want to put this, and I want to share a little bit of Kung Fu as well, because I promised some of our fans to do it, okay? And now this is a property price index since 1996, okay? And on top, it has an index that starts from roughly about 130. It crashed. That was the crash of 97, and then it slowly creep up. And today we are at a new high. I expect this high to continue for at least 6 months, right? Easily this bull run, as long as, because the 6 months to at least 1 year, maybe even 2 years, because the HDB BTO take a long time to catch up. Okay, it's not I say I want to build a flat tomorrow, I can build a flat. Okay, so therefore this one, but however, if you look at the jump in the property price index, it's high, but it's not as high as what we think. Okay, but if you look at S&P 500, no, let's compare like to like since 1996 to now. It's went up by 4 times. Okay, 4 times. 4 times, and the property there has gone up by less than 1 time. Even your leverage, I think there is a certain level of comparison. Okay,
Sifu,
yes,
I need to add on here. Okay,
sure.
I'm looking at the chart as well.
Sure.
Of course, but I see the actual massive growth, right? Actually start from here, probably somewhere around 2013 onwards.
Sure.
If let's say somebody who actually buy at year 2000,
yep,
and then all the way to probably 2010, right?
Yeah,
probably is a break even because there was a W shape.
Therefore, you have to. So
there was a 10 years wait.
Correct. So
for break even
indexing, and I said it many times, you gotta wait for 20 years kind of time frame. Ideally, even 30 years. Okay. and therefore, and you need not all hum into it, and you should buy consistently. But that's a strategy I adopt. Okay, but I also adopt. Now today I posted something I actually put on the 1965 group for S&P 500. Year on year, I made a for my CPF component, I made a return of about 40%. Okay. Now, actually, it's not very difficult to achieve that. And let's just digress from property. Okay. And this one, it is not something that is very special. It's simply because, and I say this to many people, if you have a certain set of funds, my suggestion is to break in half. And this one I've told a lot of people. I also told Noel this as well. And one half you keep it and just keep accumulating. Don't spend it on anything, right? The other half you can slowly bring it down through dollar cost averaging on the S&P 500 or equivalent. And because you're accumulating the other half into a big and bigger amount, you betahan, you just can't wait. You know when you should let go of that? When there's a big market crash. Okay? When there's a big market crash. Now, for most people, when there's a big market crash, you'll be scared terribly. But for those people who have been accumulating this snowball and bigger, when a crash comes, you will be very gutsy enough to go in because you'll be waiting for a long time, probably 3 to 5 years for it. Okay? And you just go in. So the returns you look at, example of 40% I've made that I posted on 1965 was simply because I unloaded, quite a large sum into my CPF into it. There's another chunk that I made even much more on cash, and that's a separate thing. But I wanted to say that in S&P 500 indexing investment, that's my strategy. It has worked again and again for many crashes. Okay, now in property you can't do this because your selection must be very chun. That's why you need experts like Dragon Tan here to help you. Okay, and I must say that if you pick the right one, I've seen it again and again. I think in our group there's a gentleman called Andrew and there's another gentleman called Patrick. They do very well in property investment, right? Own a few houses and things like that. They're very good in it. Now, let's also accept the fact that not everybody is good in it and you need help in this area and things like that. You got to find people you can trust. So property is the inherent know-how must be there. Okay, if you are not there, you can lose money and you can lose a lot because you leverage. Okay, so the other one is that I think we talked about it just now, and we ask people, why do you buy? I cannot put a number to it now, but a lot of people come to me privately and say, Mr. Lu, I'm now in trouble. I got a condo. They say my mother-in-law will look down on me if I own a HDB. If there are people who come to me, especially those people in a corporate profession, and say, I cannot be staying in HDB. I really cannot. I must stay in it's a real big downgrade. Well, the question really is between looking rich and being rich, which one do you want? Right? All of us want both. Right? We want to look rich, and we also want to be rich.
Yeah, we know you're rich.
No, that's not the point.
That you're very rich. Yeah.
The point is that when you are young, okay, I would suggest and strongly encourage all the young to be able to be more frugal and accumulate your wealth. Okay, start on the be rich part and forget about the being rich. Who are you going to house sell? You're so young. How much? There's only that much because time is not on your side. But once you cross a certain path, let's say we are in your 40s or 50s, right? You've already accumulated wealth. It's okay to have both in that sense. You can have a nice condo and also become rich because then your investment will be compounding. But when you are young, especially when you're young, you have to pick one. Now, I suggest you pick wisely. If you pick the wrong one, you can be impoverished by it. The ability for you to accumulate is a lot less. Any comment on this?
Okay, I try to stand behind so that it make my face less rounder. Then I'll be almost as slim as Mr. Lee. Okay, okay. So basically, I think that we still have we have a good crowd who are below 35. Probably you're in your 20s, and probably there's a portion of you who has yet to start a property. We are just once this young before. All right, now still young lah. I'm forever young, and a lot of people always comment that I look young. This morning, somebody just mentioned I look young. So it's just that I look tired because the last 1.5 months, I don't have a good proper sleep. I sleep averagely around 4 to 5 hours because my calls keep coming in. All right. But anyway, back to the younger generation. Is it Z generation or millennial generation?
Z,
right?
Yeah. No, sorry. Gen Z is still in their 20s.
Yeah, we are still young before. We come from humble background. Okay. I stay in a 3-room flat. Back then when I was young, only child. So I realized that important that I need to take care of myself. Eventually, when I know how to take care of myself, I can take care of my parents because my parents are illiterate. So everything I plan for them. When I'm 20, 21, I start to plan their insurance for them. I buy hospital plan for them. I plan for their endowment plan. But eventually, I find that the best endowment plan, for my insurance agent friend who are here, the best endowment plan, right, to me is CPF. CPF is absolutely the best endowment plan that promise you 4 to 6% as of now. So far, very guaranteed. Yeah. And of course, from my insurance financial advisor, I plan the hospital plan. So I buy the best for them because I ever work in hospital and I know that the healthcare cost will go up.
Can kill you. Yeah.
Can kill you. So I buy the best, despite the fact that right now I averagely I pay $5,000 wherever I can for my parents each. Despite the fact that I refuse to downgrade because a large portion is cash. Because I know that anything happen to them, everything will fall on me because I'm the only child. So since then, because I have this kind of crisis management when I'm 20, 21. So despite the fact that I come from a very poor background, probably my parents earn less than 3,000, the household income less than $2,000 to $3,000 per month. Later I'll touch on the household income as well. How does it affect property? Sure. So it becomes that I'm more savvy. So what Mr. Lu said was that, and every time, okay, just to sidetrack, every time when he call me, and before we end the call, he said, I know that you are doing well. Please remember to save. So I appreciate Mr. Lu for that. I think that it's good to find a mentor or a friend who can remind you that you must always set a reserve fund, rather than a friend who asks you to go MBS or RWS or probably pub or nightclub to go for a drink lavishly. So we are not this category of lavish people, but of course I spend on certain things. I spend on good food. As a result, I have high cholesterol. So I spend on fine dining because I feel that we only live once. So for the youngster, just trust me. If you are able to tahan for delayed gratification, you're able to tahan for delayed gratification. I'm very sure that in your mid-30s, right, you will have a good saving, you'll do well, and so long you continue to have savvy in your investment. I'm very sure because I go through that. I start everything when I was walking, I was taking public transport like bus, MRT, and walk, right? I do this until I'm 29, I'm 30 before I buy my first car. That was a Toyota. Because the first 10 years of my working life, I'm just saving and finding opportunity to invest in something that can lead me to another level. And it's supposedly if 20 to 30 years old, I'm been spending, right? Just because I think YOLO, right? No tomorrow, right? Because a lot of people have this thinking, right? I better spend all my money now. Because my father has this mentality. If I don't spend my money today, right? Probably there's no tomorrow for me. That is my father. But for me, probably I spend a lot of time with my mom during the childhood, so I tend to think like my mom. I'm a conservative. But trust me, you do that, definitely I believe that you'll do better in your mid-30s. Doesn't matter, don't compare yourself to your friends. So what if your friends, they are in your uni or poly days, they're driving flashy car, or probably they're driving, whatever continental car. Just be yourself. Just focus what you want. Just focus what you want. Just go into investment. Just own your first property. I always advise all my young friend, my young cousin, if you can, just buy your first property when you're in your 20s. So that when you're in your 30s, right, you go for a second property. And then when you're in your 40s, right, probably you go for a landed if your income permit. But you have to be of certain income in order to buy landed. All right, you have to be comfortable. So that by the time these are all retirement plan because your loan is around 30 years, easily 30 years. So when you start from 20s, by the time you're 50s, right, your house will fully paid, either by you or by your tenant. And then when you're in your 50s, right, that's not the time to overgear yourself. You need to have this peace of mind to retire in peace. One M55, one M65, plus a property that's fully paid, plus one property that's staying for your own self, probably you're still paying for the money installment, doesn't matter. This is supposed to be the direction you should be looking at. All right. Okay, Sifu.
Okay. Now I'm gonna end soon on
so
this
fast,
one.
I haven't ended.
Wait. He on his part, or you can go on his part. But I just want this because it's very important, and we go after that we can go in the Q&A as well. Before that, I want to talk about how do we actually invest in property from my perspective. I feel like let's do a little bit of commercial. For those on my YouTube, can you all hit subscribe and like for me, please? That will help us a lot. I think YouTube has an algorithm that actually help to promote the video. I would like more people to hear this. I think there are very few people that talk bad about property, and I think after I put this thing up, there's going to be a lot more people that's going to stone me. But I think it's good to have some balanced view. Okay, but please hit subscribe and if possible, hit a like for this.
Subscribe to channel, one M65 and another channel is Dragon Pan. Okay,
Wonderful.
that's right.
Okay.
Wonderful, right?
Cool. Okay. Now all the people say that, oh, Mr. Lu, you hate property, It's not true. It's not true. Okay. First of all, it is not possible for a person not to have a property investment. Most of the time it's not, because you minimally need one house. And because you by default need a house, that inherently becomes one of the important assets to buy. Okay. I think it's very important that the house that you stay, you gotta select it well as well. Okay, it must meet a lot of criteria. And like what Dragon said, for those people who your wealth has increased, it's possible to expand to two or three property as well. Let me share you my thoughts. Okay, and this is not there's a pie chart there, but this is not my pie chart. I just happen to Google it. But the pie chart well described that actually when we have wealth, it needs to be spread out. Okay, it needs spread out. Some in stocks, some in bonds, some in CPF, some in property, and so on. And some people who even believe in Bitcoin and things like that. But my point is that you want to spread out as much as possible, and this is what we call asset allocation or diversification. The diversification is very, very important. Now, how you spread out is a different thing. But the problem why I want to highlight this top is because there's an overwhelming majority of people in Singapore that loves property, right? They harm everything into property. They take out money from CPF, they put it into property. They have very little diversification into stocks, and everything is in the property. Now, as I said, then that's where you have concentration risk. And there are historical times where property prices do go down, and if you are caught with that together with a loss of job or things like that, then you'll be hit. But my point is that for financial wisdom, and for many of you will know that 1865 is not just about CPF. It's really about sharing with everybody your whole range of financial asset allocation. I strongly encourage everybody to have an allocation, and this allocation will change over time. As your age goes up, you want to take less risks in certain things and take less risk asset and as a result, maybe you sell off some of your stocks and shares and things like that. And as your wealth builds up, it's okay to own multiple property as well, as long as your range is well allocated. Now, I want to share this because this is a big misconception that people have, that I'm against property investment. I'm against fanaticism and blind faith. Okay, that's why I am. And if you are all into stocks and shares, I also say it's blind faith also.
GameStop,
they see, Yeah, I have staff that he was a hero. He's only 26 years old, and he has accumulated $100,000 of savings. How many people can do that, right? Through hard work, and he lost 60% of it in one night. GameStop, right? So what I'm trying to share is that it's very important for us to spread out our assets, and I'm happy to share with you some of this allocation basis. So in that light, okay, I think property investment is important. Okay, it's important, and I do think that there's one particular characteristics of property is that, you know, it gives people a very strong sense of security, especially Asians. Okay, Asians, when they can touch and feel a property and asset, you know, they feel a sense of security, and that sense of security, it is important to many people, and I recognize that. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna hand over to Dragon to add on some words, and then.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and
now it's
then
my turn. It's like Gong Wei lah. Okay, good. Wow.
Then we
okay.
do Q&A after
Wow,
that.
Mr. Lu has a good 1 hour sharing his heartfelt lah. Of course, everybody have their own opinion to share. Nothing wrong, nothing correct. Of course, Mr. Lu show you some chart. I also love to show you some chart so that you have a better balance of tonight's sharing. Okay, so what happened to him where he lost money, almost bankrupt, was during the 90s. So, okay, 1997. Wow, 1997. Can anybody tell me what happened during 1997? Anybody know? No, 1997. Anybody know? Come, let me see. Check. Wow, who can tell me what happened during 1997? It's a big thing, you know. There's this guy called George Soros, right? George Soros. What happened?
Any of them got it right?
Yeah, bubble, financial crisis. Yes, financial crisis. Asian financial crisis. It doesn't concern the West. It concerns the Asian. It starts from, I think it's Thailand. Yeah, the Thai baht, all jialat. A lot of people become bankrupt. Okay, correct. Asian financial crisis. So can anybody tell me, during that point in time, right, is there any property measure? Any property measure? That time, I can tell you, right, no property measure. No property measure. It's a free market. People just mad rush to buy. Government probably at that point in time, they don't know how the whole thing works because we're in the developing country. We're still in developing country at the point in time. Manufacturing was so hot. Industry like tailor, you know, there's a lot of tailor from overseas like Hong Kong during the 80s and early 90s. So it was a developing country. HDB from 5,000 become 200,000, 300,000. It happened in a country that is developing. Okay, all right now. No measure. So I'm going to show you something. Probably you can take it, internalize it, you know. Yeah. And then probably later you learn your own Seng Gong, right, or whatever. Okay. Just hold on. Let me stop this screen first. And I'll share my screen. Let me find my screen, okay? Yeah, because I opened up a lot of window for Mr. Lu until I couldn't find my own window. Yeah, just hold on first. So, and back then, if you all can remember, right, during the time where Goh Chok Tong is what? Emeritus Senior Mentor Minister, Prime Minister.
That time was the Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, if you remember Mr. Goh, who is our Emeritus Senior Mentor Minister, he was aiming for 100% ownership in Singapore. That was the time. How do I know? Because I got my property agent certificate. That's called SIHA back in 2001. 2001. So it was a good how many years? It was a good 20 years. So I remember the policy very well. So what happened during that point in time is that Singapore is aiming for 100% ownership. And a lot of Akong Ama who are not working, they actually can buy HDB with a loan. That was the time. But what happened when this thing happened? And this thing reminds you of something. It's called the subprime. I think I better don't stand so near because I look so wrong. It was called the subprime. So what happened is that there was a 1997 Asian financial crisis. 2001, there was the so-called .com, as well as 911. You all remember 911? What happened during 911? Two birds, right? They crashed against a tower, right? There's two flying birds, right? Two aeroplanes. And this is what happened. And then after that, 2003, we have this called the SARS. Wow, the SARS was epidemic. It's not a pandemic, it's called epidemic that lasts for 6 to 9 months. And what happened? That one is really fatality rate very high. Nobody there to go out. And let me show you the chart. Okay. Hey, Mr. Lu, where's my chart?
I don't know.
Yeah, correct. Just hold on, guys. I just want to show you my chart, which I prepared tonight for you all, so that okay, I found my chart already. Good. Okay. Let me share. Share. Okay, share my screen. Okay, Mr. Lu. Yes, correct. And then, okay, Let me share with you. Okay, good. And it opened up in my paint shop. Okay, that doesn't matter, doesn't matter. You all can see clearly, right?
No.
Clear or not? Not clear. Clear or not? Just hold on, just hold on. Let me share with you my screen.
I see the property growth.
Okay, let me minimize it. Yes, minimize it. Just now, Mr. Lu show you something. That is the something similar like this. That is the private residential property price index, correct? But allow me to show you something else. I think that this is more interesting, all right? Which I want to show you. Media. And this is something that I want to share with all of you. Come, let me stop it.
Yep, okay.
Okay, let me stop it lah. You my kanjong my kanjong I Actually, you won't be a kanjong Kanjong is me, right? Because I couldn't find my file. This is the one. And is it too small? Too small, right? Come.
It's okay. It's okay.
I hope you all can see.
Yep.
Really well. Okay. Now this is the property price index. Okay. Now allow me to make it smaller so that everybody can.
It's okay.
Okay, I think it's still visible lah. Okay. Now, can you take a look at what happened? Okay, government introduced a number of measures. I would say 9 to 10 measures from 2010 all the way to 2018. All right. The last measure was 2018. And then recently, people are speculating that there will be the so-called cooling measure. All right. Until DBS, not DBS, sorry, MAS. Specifically on 30th June, that was 2 weeks back. Okay, the chairman was saying that it's still too early for any cooling measure because there's no sign and symptoms that our market is overheated. So I just want you to take a look at this. Okay, take a look at my arrow. Can see my arrow, right? Okay, good. Now, just now I was mentioning about Asian financial crisis. Back then, just now you all answer me, right? There's no measure. There's no measure during the period of time. There is no measure. So what happened when there's no measure? When the crisis comes, Mr. Lu buy his first property in 1997, and then it go down this way. Correct or not? And then property did recover, but it recovered halfway to 2000, 2001. And then what happened? Piang again. But this time the piang is better because the government has experiences. So they know how to handle. It's just that this U curve, it takes a long time. But how many years does it go back to the previous high? 96, 97, it takes around 12 years, 2008. So I just want to bring your attention to here. Now, what happened in 2008? Something happened, right? It's called the Lehman Brothers crash. Correct now? You all remember, right? Lehman Brothers crash. Today is not history lesson. It's just talking only. I don't want to tire yourself out because afterward very tired. I just tell you story. You all love to listen to story. Okay? All good trainer have to be a good storyteller. So we have to be a good storyteller to engage you. Okay? Now, so what happens is that the next peak come here, and then because of the Lehman Brothers crash, piang again. But because of that, we have experiences how to handle. So the dip is not so jialat. But this means that there was a crash. Obviously, in property market, this is not stock market. So what happened after that? The market rebound even faster from 2009 all the way to 2013. Can you all follow? Follow, right? See my arrow, my arrow is very fine. Why all the way from 2009 to 2013? It's because of the stimulus. QE1, QE2, US print a lot of money. And how much they print the first round? Around 700 billion. And then what happened? The whole thing goes, okay, property market, until 13. There was this measure. Before that, there was a lot of measure. Until there was this measure called the TDSR. Wow, people are very new to TDSR. And then there was this thing, EC, MSR, loan is half. So after that, for your second loan, right, probably you cannot borrow up to 80%. There'll be a cap. It's too many measures. Till now, further measure came in back in 2018. And then after that, you see. But this is not a crash, okay? This is just a slight correction. It's not a crash. Crash refers to 1997 Asian financial crisis. Crash refers to the Lehman Brothers crash. But the TDSR, the cooling measure, is what the government want because they don't want the market to go up too fast. too fast, it will be a headache for your children, for my boy, and for Mr. Lu children as well. Not too fast. It has to be stable. So I will say that the market cushioned down gradually. I don't think it's a crash until recently 2019, 2020. What happened? This is where the market recovered. So you have to realize that. Now, why is that a so-called a bull market, so-called a mini bull from 2016? That is because if you realize, because I followed all these sequence very closely, from 2016 when the prices went up, it's the same when 2006. Look here, 2006. Why? Because there is en bloc fever. So when there is massive en bloc fever, there'll be more money. So-called it's like another QE, another stimulus to stimulate the market. How much was it? Averagely for the both cycle 2006 to 2008 as well as 2016 to 2018, right? The en bloc collective sales for the whole country is around average. The exact figure is averagely is around 20 billion. So when that happened, market get excited, prices will go up. So just follow me, you follow me, right? Okay. Until then, market stable a bit. But this time around, what happened? Another pandemic come, and this pandemic is called COVID-19. Now it's 21. Wow, COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21. Wow, 2 years there. Actually 2 years already, 2 calendar year. But what happened? It's supposed to go down, right? Because back then when the COVID happened, the whole market was quiet for 1 month to 2 months because circuit breaker can stay at home. A lot of my agent colleagues are telling me they can only do Zoom, and then the best part is that next time when you Zoom with your agent, right, please turn on video please because the agent feels so idiot, talking to a black video, and they don't even know whether it's a person listening to them or not. They just keep on talking, presenting, and then end day when we finish a presentation, right, they say hello, no sound. So they feel stupid also. So I mean, it's a respect just to share with you. I think agent also need respect over here. Now I just continue. So right now, Mr. Lu said that it's a black swan event for COVID. Now what happened? Dormitory, there was an outbreak. A lot of workers has COVID, right? So we have to stop all construction. Stop for how long? Almost close to 6 months.
Yeah.
Project are delayed. All right. And then BTO are delayed. The best part in the media, BTO delay for 6 years. Whether you got balloting or not balloting. Sometimes balloting depends on luck. You're lucky, 1 round you got it. You're not lucky, it take you 2 years to 3 years. And there are people who go for balloting 8, 9 times, 10 times. I heard it before, my younger cousin. All right. So 6 plus 2 years of waiting time for balloting plus 6 years of waiting time plus 5 years MOP, that will be 13 years.
So, can you explain 5 year MOP?
So for all Singaporeans, especially the Z generation or the millennial generation here who are in their early 20s or applying their BTO, you need to wait for 6 years. And then probably you take you 1-2 years for the balloting period before you balloted a unit successfully. That will take you 8 years. And then from the 8 years, all right, you need to have 5 years waiting period because you need to have a 5 years minimum occupation period. You need to physically stay inside the house for 5 years before you can sell. The whole thing will take you 13 years. By the time you be 40 or 40s already, depending on how old you are right now or how young you are right now. So the dream of getting or upgrade to a condo or even to an EC is getting further and further. And that's what motivates right now the youngster, the first timer to come into the resale market. That's for sure. Because I have seen, I'm very on the ground. I'm very honored because I'm a trainer as well. I train agent as well. My own academy. I'm very active in my sales as well because I want to be on the ground. What is happening on the ground? I can see that the prices are record high. Every time when there's a record high transaction, next moment some other seller will break the record. And this happened back in 2009. Look at my arrow. Because I was in the market for the last 13 years. I was in the market in 2008 all the way to 2013. I was in this bull market. I have witnessed how the market bull is. Supply get lesser and lesser. And because of this black swan event, okay, this is my own personal opinion. I'm not trying to get you excited or what. Take a look at this curve here. Take a look at this curvature here. And take a look at this curvature here. you are just at the start of a bull run. This is only the start of an uptrend. If you buy stock market, you should know what is uptrend. This is a very basic chart. To me, when I look at the chart, we just hit the peak and we are going for the next uptrend. Market is hot, but I don't think this is the end. This is just only the beginning. Especially this time around, the US is printing 5 trillion. 5 trillion already, right?
Many trillion.
Many trillion. It's unlimited already. This time is unlimited because to the US, they don't care. They just sell the bonds. So this is my own personal opinion. Of course, now I show you another chart. Now this chart will be the measure that happened over the last 10 years. You digest yourself, you internalize yourself, and you decide for yourself. Only you know what is good for you, okay? Now, since this is real time, I'll show you real time prices later. Good or not? Real time prices are good or not? Okay. Let me show you my screen. I'll show you this screen here. Share. Okay. I'll share you. Now, this is the, you can just key it. I'll show you real time data. Measure. This is by SRX. Now, this will be the chart itself. I think it's quite detailed. And these are the measures that the government set in and introduced over how many years? Since 2010. Okay, it's a bit fine, but probably I can tell you, since 2010, we have the first measure all the way until now. 2018 was the last measure.
Maybe you can give 1 or 2 examples.
So the measure that is the most harsh is in 2013. 2013. And what happened when TDSR was introduced? This is 2013, my arrow. So when 2013, the most harsh measure came, property actually so-called cushion down. It doesn't crash. The purpose of the cooling measure is to make sure that the property prices cool down a bit. But of course, over long term, the price is supposed to go up. But yet, I still can, later I'll show you some real-time data that anybody who probably bought in 2010, 2012, right, they still make good profit margin. Something to probably to share with Mr. Lu tonight, since I have the chance. I haven't shown him yet, just for your info, but I would love to show to you all. Just, you can even give me some condo name, I'll just input the data. We can see the number of profitable transaction and non-profitable transaction. That's for you to convince. All right. So can you take a look at the curve here? At the curve here. So we're right now at this curve. But this is, you take a look here, it's a bit downtrend, right? No, but however, this is not 2021, this is 2019. So the measure is until here because the last measure was July 2018. So in fact, right now the curve, right, is reversing, is going up. All right. Now, real-time data. Let me show you some data. Now, I use this software itself. It's called the Square Foot Research. All right. And I love to analyze data itself. Okay. I'll come to this side later. Okay. Let me show you. Okay. Loan landed transaction. Okay. Because a lot of people always ask me, right? What is the best buy? Okay. Honestly, over the last 5 to 6 years, I've closed a number of projects. Okay, I do resale as well, HDB condo, but I close a number of projects as well. So my favorite is always EC because EC always give the best upside. Condo give upside as well, but it depends on where. All right, and I tell you what are the factors that probably you need to look for. Okay, when you're buying your condo or EC. Probably I'll just share with you because I stay in Sengkang myself. I just choose one project that's in Sengkang, the first EC in Sengkang, and it's called Esperina. So you all heard before, right? Heard before, right? Heard before or not? Heard before? Never lah.
That's me.
Oh, okay. Esperina. Okay. Yes. Okay. So this Qing Li Qing, is it Qing Ling? Yeah. Okay. Need also heard before. Thank you. Heard before, right? Okay. Twin Peak. Can no problem. Later we'll show you Twin Peak. Hey, Twin Peak. Bola. Twin Peak. You eat Twin Peak, is it? Or which Twin Peak? That is Orchard, different class already. Now, so I show you because a lot, I don't need all this. I don't need all this. I just need to show you what is the profitable transaction and what is the non-profitable transaction. And then I just need to show you what are the transaction over the last 5 years because this EC just TOP 2 years back. 2 years back. Okay, I don't need to show you all this lah. Okay, so we have Esperina last 5 years. You all can see clear. Now let me show you. Esperina is just beside this project called Sengkang Grand Residences. all right, by CDL, and it's walking distance to the MRT called the Buangkok MRT in the northeast. So Mr. Lu will not know because he's staying in the west. Later we can do one in the west as well. Now these are the projects that's launched during the cooling measure period, 2010 all the way until now. All right. Now when was it launched? It was launched in 2010, correct? Now what happened is that it was completed in 2013. So let me share with you what is their profit margin. I love to do EC. And a lot of my clientele base are all in EC as well. Of course, recently there are some who actually sold their EC to buy condo. Okay. Now let me generate this. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, where is it? Oh, because I haven't logged in, paise. That's why it showed me the raw material. Paise. Aiya, paise. Yeah. No wonder. How come you never show me the transaction? Okay. Ayo, better don't show your password. Later all of you log in. Then I cannot log in anymore. Dun, 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 dun. Number of profitable transaction, 202. Anybody who lost money, never mind, later we go to that. Because we are interested in what project win money and what project lost money. This is the first EC in Sengkang. And back then, I can tell you, this area is a very ulu area in 2010 because there's nothing there. But right now, today, right, super is developed. So my point is, you buy a place when it's still growing and then you sell when it's grown. All right. Now, this is the latest transaction. Of course, from here you will see you'll get confusing. But let me show you which unit right make the most money. I just click profit here. The bought in 2013. Oh no, bought in 2010. Just sold in 2018 after occupying for 5 years. And this lucky winner, he made a profit margin of 651K. But what did he buy? You remember this thing? He bought the biggest unit.
Is it a penthouse or?
Likelihood is going to be a penthouse high floor or 5-bedroom. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. So how about 1399? There's a 1399 square feet or another lucky owner, of course, for the purpose of privacy. You know, this software don't reflect the unit number, but we can know. You know, he bought in 2010, he sold in 2021 after occupying for the last 8 years or 7 years. This is 600K. Annualized return is 5.1 to 5.8%. But remember one thing, because he's leveraging on what? He's leveraging on the cheap bank loan that is 1% to 1.1%. I'm very sure of the interest rate because I'm talking to banker almost every day, to UOB, DBS, as well as MiBank. So they always update me the bank rate so that I always tell my buyer on that and refer them there. All right. So take a look at a healthy transaction. They're all 500,000, 400,000. And this is what? This is condo or EC? This is, oh my God. This is EC, right? Okay, any more now? Okay, so I show you another one in this place called Bongo. Because I love EC. I love to sell EC. I always love to sell EC. Okay, Privé. This is the first EC in Privé. Now, this EC was also introduced in 2010, launched in 2010, 2011, and then completed in 2013. All right. Now let's take a look. No. It shouldn't be the campus view. It should be Bongo. All right. Later, you can show me some project. I can show you. I can also show you some condo that is launched during this period. They lose money also. Then I'll tell you why. Okay. Of course, I'll tell you why. All right. Aspirina. Okay. Where's my Privé? Privé or Prive. I don't know how you pronounce. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of pronunciation.
Yeah.
If you can correct me, by all means, I love to learn the correct pronunciation. This is Prive. All right. Launched in 2010. They collect their key in 2013. Let's take a look. The first EC. 2011. Okay, let's take a look at the highest transaction. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, good. Profit. The highest is not as high as Aspirina, but we have a good profit of 572,000. Bought in 2011 and collect key in 2013. Hold for 7 years. This is the upside: 5%, 4%, 6%. This is the percentage. So I'm not trying to saying that all project can buy. Some project,
are there people who lose money?
Okay, so basically, if let's say there is something that lose money, right, you will reflect here. Zero transaction. EC in the history of EC, right? So far, right, so long they meet their MOP, so long they meet their 5 years MOP, I haven't find anything that lose money. So long that they meet their MOP, because EC have to occupy for 5 years, right? I never find anything that lose money. All right, I show you condo, Ken. I show you a condo. Because before I collect key for my EC, I actually rented in a condo with my wife. That time was 2 of us. So we try to we rent outside rather than stay with parents lah. Correct. I think that's so that we can that's the way to learn to live together. Of course, I have some friends who love to stay with parents because they need to pay rental. But I feel that the one now we are all grown up already. We should be independent enough to do our laundry. Because once you stay with parents, right, for the youngster, you tend to rely on your parents more. Yeah. So okay, now I stay in this condo. It's called Sky Mitonia. And anybody know where is Sky Mitonia? This condo. No, it's not Sengkang. Yishun, Vanessa, 厉害 Vanessa. Yeah, because Vanessa is my colleague. She visited me there, back then.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, okay, no problem. Okay, yes, okay, we have one tick here. Okay, no. Sky Mitonia. So let's say, okay, I don't want all this. I just want
unselect all, then click those.
Oh yeah, correct. Oh, Sifu, you're so sharp, Sifu. Because I'm so engrossed in something, while Sifu is, you're more sharp. Yeah, let me refresh it. Okay, so I just refresh. So this is Sky Mitonia. Okay, it was launched in, it was completed in 2016. All right, launched in 2013. Launched in around 2013. 2012, 2013. So a total of 56 transactions over the last few years. And how many lost money? 40 transactions lost money. Wow. It was in a place called Yishun. I really enjoy staying in the place because I feel that it's a place for me to retire. For lifestyle, yes, I see the reservoir. Every day I see the reservoir. I don't know what reservoir is that.
Seletar?
No, there was a country club, the Orchid Country Club there, and then there was a reservoir, there was a dam.
Sure.
Last time a lot of youngsters go there to tall. So let me show you how much the owner lost. We don't talk about win money, we talk about lose money. All right. Now, remember, right? They bought on 2012, right? So on 2020, after 8 years. All right. So this is the period. The last 8 years since 2010 is the period where the cooling measure period. So now, after holding on for the last 8 years to 9 years, right? This one lost 280K, 238K. Okay. No offense, nothing. It's just sharing here, because some of you is staying there. I'm trying to share. All right. Doesn't mean that all condo
make money.
Doesn't mean that all condo lose money also. It also doesn't mean that all EC will make a lot of money. Just that I'll just show you a few that really is go by example. And they are launched during the same period of time. 2010, 2011, 2012. So we have quite a number who lose money. And these are the people who bought the bigger unit, 1,000 square feet.
Can you explain to your opinion why this one actually has so many that lost money?
Okay, typically, right, it's a beautiful place. It's a nice place as well. Now, question is that in 2013, okay, this is something that a lot of people are not known of. When you have a condo launch, and then when there's a few parcel of land just right beside you, and then next moment, the next few parcel of land become a EC land, because typically the EC launch price is always 20 to 30% below the launch price of a new condo launch. So right now, the new condo launch, for example, in the northeast area like Serangoon, Hougang, whatever, Serangoon Garden, Hougang, even Ang Mo Kio, they're going at 1,600 to 1,800. But the next upcoming EC, I think some of you know lah, we have agent here. The next upcoming EC is Park Greenwich, which I'm doing as well.
Which should be 30% cheaper.
Definitely, it's 20 to 30% cheaper.
Okay.
1,150 to 1,250. Confirm one.
Sure.
So given this once when you have a condo launch and then suddenly right opposite there's this EC launch, right? The price is not going to be higher than your condo new launch. It will launch lower, and then it will shift the demand there. And what happened when you shift the demand there? And this is what happened, right? That I think that somebody mentioned his or her friend, Qingling, Koi, right? Yeah, this is what happened as a result. So you need to wait for the next plot of land to be probably a condominium to bring up the prices up. If not, it's going to be a heartache for the for the owner who are holding on for many years, unless they don't buy for own stay, they buy for rental. So not too bad. If you buy for rental, just now Mr. Lu did mention one thing. Wow, if I'm going to buy a house that's 1 million, or I take a 1 million loan, my money installment is 3,002. It's around 3,002 because based on interest, 1%, 1.1, 3,002. So it's a heavy commitment. But allow me to share this. All right, when you buy something that is that you involve a 1 million loan, you have a $3,000 money installment. This is not expenses. Please, this is not expenses. Your expenses is money installment, right? It consists of both principal and interest. Principal and interest, right? Now, so interest is then your expenses. The principal is actually your saving. So you're just buying a 1 million worth of endowment plan. You need to have this concept. When I buy a property, I'm buying a $1 million worth of endowment plan. It's a saving plan for the next 30 years. But will I keep this? But when can I surrender this plan? I don't need to surrender 20 years later. No need. Insurance, you can only surrender 20 years later. This one, I can surrender anytime. I can sell my house lah. When I meet a profit margin, I can sell. And I leverage on bank loan. Of course, the bank interest rate very low. But if I'm renting out, so good. Your tenant pay your money installment for you. Your tenant pay for your interest. So you don't have any more expenses. Your tenant help you to save. So you have to think in this form of concept. But before you commit anything, I will advise everybody that your facts and figure, your safety net, your stress test, you have to be mindful where you're heading to. All right. Okay, good. So just show you.
Just for my interest.
Yep.
I know I shouldn't be talking about this. I'm a person who loves to fish, and that's my dream house is to have one house in Sentosa. So I can just walk downstairs and throw a fishing line. How much is the Sentosa apartments prices changed by now?
Changed by now, nah. Okay. Yeah. Anybody want to give me a project name, or Mr. Lu want to give me a project name? I just because Mr. Lu really not keen, yeah. He's only keen in S&P.
No, I do keen in like a place I can. Oh yeah.
OUE Twin Peak. Okay, sure. Give me OUE Twin Peak. Okay, let's take a look at OUE Twin Peak. Okay, OUE Twin Peak. Okay, come. I'm going to explain to you all about what happened in OUE Twin Peak. All right. Sure. Now let me share this first. Okay, let's go to OUE Twin Peak. Now Twin Peak that time was there was this Rara also.
Twin Peak is near Harbourfront, right?
No, it's as a Orchard. Just
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
I think no need
sure,
there. Okay, OU Twin Peak. Okay, I think JJ Lin bought one unit there. If not, I think email child something like this. All right, they bought something there. So right now, let me unselect all. Now, profitable and non-profitable sales. Now, so I will explain one by one. Now, OU Twin Peak. Okay, it's a 99 year. Okay, of course, at this place. No need hill there. And what happened is that, okay, let's take a look. So far, wow, okay, we have only 2 transactions that's profitable. 25 transactions that is unprofitable is in Orchard. So it doesn't mean that you buy in prime area, you make money. A lot of people buy in prime area, they don't make money. So the question is why? Why people buy in EC, they make money? Because when you buy a place, right, where it's very atas, right, you have to, okay, buy is one thing, you have to think for future, your exit plan. Who are the group of people who will buy my unit? Is there a mass market to support this level? If the majority of the mass market of Singaporean, right, couldn't support this level, that is because, okay, mass market is very simple. Mass market for local Singaporean heartlander, we just want to have the basic first. Okay, typically we just want to house our kids. We need at least minimally 3 bedroom or 2 bedroom to 3 bedroom to house our kids, helper, and parents. Probably extended family. So if for them to go for luxury market, unless they are really high net worth individual, they are very 很有钱. All right. So basically, this probably explain why OU Twin Peak so far the transaction are not pretty well. But okay, one thing is why it's not doing well is very simple. Because government imposed foreigner. Okay, luxury market are foreigner play. Imagine if the measure is removed, because foreigner need to pay 20% ABSD. Imagine if this 20% is removed. Trust me, next moment the whole market of the luxury market, right? Because the foreigner buy luxury market one, confirm one, the foreigner will buy a luxury market. The whole market will go up by 20%. Government remove 20, whole market will go up by 20%, even 30%. So this is how the luxury market works. So I think that, wow, okay, I don't know whether is this...
Wow, someone lost $1 million.
Yeah, the people lost million, 500K, 400K. So it depends. It really depends on who is a buyer. So mass market, probably they just want the basic. They'll go for the heartlander area. Mass market is a different play. You depend on foreigner, and it depends on those very rich Singaporeans who come in. All right. And rich people, right, when they buy thing, they buy luxury market, right? Very different class. They don't care, they don't do financial calculation. That's no need for them to do because they have their own RM. It's whether they love, they like the project or not. If they don't like the project, no matter how cheap it is, oh, thank you so much, I have water. Cheers. Now, if they don't love the project, they don't like the project, they will not buy. But if they love the project, like our James Dyson, how much he bought Woolwich Residences? He bought for, I think, 90 over million, right? If I'm not wrong, the penthouse they bought is 90 over million. But end day, who can he sell to? How many Singaporeans can buy from him? So it's a very different story.
CEO. Okay.
Or Grab CEO is GCB.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my sharing here. All right. I hope Sure is okay. Sure, thank you.
Very good sharing.
Eric was asking, can teach how to spot a potential en bloc project. Okay, very simple.
Are we moving to Q&A right now?
I think Q&A, right?
Yeah. So let's just in this juncture, would be good if you can type in your questions in a Q&A. Let's give you a break for your drink water. I think it's good to also address these questions to both of us, okay? And we're happy to address this question. Maybe we take about 20 minutes for Q&A.
Correct.
Okay.
Probably for Mr. Lu first.
No, anyone. Yeah. Just fire off your questions. Okay. Maybe we can start with we can start if Dragon can answer the question.
Okay.
How to spot a good EC?
Okay. So before I probably before I actually so-called answer your question, right? Maybe I just want to ask. Maybe we have some guru here also. So I dare not 班门弄斧. Now, typically, can anybody tell me, right? Which is the project, right, that has the that fetch the highest collective sales value? Anybody know? I think some of you know lah. Yeah, because I shared to some of you before as well. The highest en-bloc project collective sales. Anybody know? It happened back in 2008, 2007 back then. It's along this road, Farrer Road. And right now, it used to be a HUDC. Used to be a HUDC. All right. But it was en-bloc already. And this HUDC right now, it was Farrer Court. Anybody can remember? You have friends who are Farrer Court, for people who are of probably older than me. You know, we have heard of friends who have Farrer Court. It was en-bloc. Right now, it become the D'Leedon CapitaLand. All right.
Yep.
So okay, a lot of HUDC, right? Which I've always feel that is very potential because a lot of HUDC. All right. For example, we have Farrer Court that was en-bloc. Tampines, there's one that's en-bloc. Right now, it become the treasure at Tampines. It's called Tampines Court. Correct now? If you all happen to stay in the east, it was a HUDC as well. Serangoon, we have two. One is called right now it's called Affinity. It used to be Serangoon View. All right, HUDC as well. Another one is Riverfront right now. Riverfront is also a launch. Not much supply. It used to be a HUDC as well. All right, and then after that, of course, we have Jetscape. If you all remember HUDC. We used to have around 18 to 21 HUDC in Singapore. Right now, we are left around 5 to 6 of them. All right. So these are the HUDC. But of course, the recent HUDC that was en-bloc is, I think, Chancery Court in the town area near Newton. So now, allow me to share. Because today I'm not supposed to teach or whatever. It's just a sharing. The highest collective sales value for Farrer Court, right, in the whole market is 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion over the last history of since 2006 until now. 1.3 billion collective sales. Any en-bloc, right, collective sales that involve 2 billion or 3 billion, right, I don't think will take place anytime. One example is Mandarin Garden. Because every time when Mandarin Garden is in the news, right, I think the residents there know how to put up the en-bloc on media. And then I will receive a lot of messages. Hey, yeah, Mandarin Garden going en-bloc. But I always tell them, we're en-bloc one. All right. So this is something I tell them. So it depends on the total collective sales. And then You have to put yourself in the shoe of a developer. Of course, a lot of technical calculation. What happened if the developer en bloc? What will be the next launch? For the next launch price, right? Does it make sense for the buyer to buy in at this current market? Can the current market support? So this is something for you to factor in. All right. So maybe Mr. Lu has one question also.
Yeah. There's a genuine liner gun. And so if you have a sudden, well, it's amazing, but this question is quite amazing. So the question is, hi Lou, what if you have a sudden $1 million drop from the sky? You know, what will you do with this money, assuming I'm 50 years of age? Okay, I think Liner is a great question.
He's tried Toto already. Confirm.
Well,
congratulations.
I do come across this question, this kind of question many times. Mr. Lu, I suddenly have a lot of money. What should I do? I just would like to share this, that I want everybody to hear and remember this. To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. There's a lot of people that once you have money cannot resist to spend or to invest, right? And I would like to strongly encourage one virtue that needs to be practiced but is lost. That is extremely important. That's called patience, right? That's called patience. And I've shared this with Dragon before, that there's no rush to invest, okay? Everything is expensive now in the world, right? Property is expensive, stocks are expensive, US stocks are expensive, bonds are also expensive. You have got crypto also expensive, but although they dropped quite a bit, but still expensive. Every damn thing is expensive right now. I'm not so sure. Gold was very expensive as well. I think it dropped a bit, but majority of everything is expensive. You do not have to invest right now, okay? I think there are some cash funds that you can invest for 1% interest. It's okay. Just hold it, right? Hold it. Every 3 to 5 years, an opportunity comes, from my experience. In 2008, there was a great financial crisis. 2012, there's Europe debt crisis. 2015, there was a China stock market crash. 2020, we have a COVID crash, right? Over the last 12 years, there's so many crashes. Each of them crash by at least 20 to 50%, right? You can always afford to wait. So I hope that answers the question. Now, if you really cannot tahan and you want to invest in something, consider dollar cost averaging of the S&P 500, okay? But you also should look at your entire portfolio. Yeah? If you're heavily overweighted on shares, right? Consider some property. If you're heavily overweighted on property, you should consider some shares. But if you take a step, I want to really encourage everybody to exercise a lot of patience, okay? Remember, to a man that with a hammer, everything looks like a nail, okay? Don't be that man.
Okay, thank you, Sifu, for addressing Lionel. So, okay, one more from Joseph Tan to Mr. Lu. My daughter is interested in S&P 500. How to start investing?
That's a great question, Joseph. I don't know how old is your daughter, but I think it is important for someone to learn how to do what we call dollar cost averaging, right? So let's assume that she has $1,000. It's okay to spend a few $100, let's say $250 or $500, and spread it out, like basically spread out. The aim is not to make money. The aim is to teach the discipline, and more importantly, to train the person to be immune towards financial fluctuations, right? Let them see the ups and downs and not react. Over time, right? The person that makes the best returns and is the best performer in the stock market are those that are robotic and has no feelings in the stock market. It doesn't get happy when the stock market goes up, doesn't feel bad when the stock market goes down. So that's the training that you want your daughter to have. To start, I think if she's above 18 years old, there are quite a few brokers that can do it. But if let's say she's below, then you should have to buy on your account. And please make sure she does the buying herself and let her do the monitoring. That's where the value is extracted. All right, cool.
Okay,
next.
I think I have a question here. It's from Dennis or Dennis? I think, yeah, sorry, because I couldn't see from here. So, hi, Dragon. Should a young couple go for EC? Bit tough. Okay, Or can the couple consider whether is it better upside than the BTO potentially? Okay, very simple. It depends on where is the BTO. If the BTO is in town area like Dawson area, there won't be any EC there lah. Trust me lah. Walao, the land so prime land. Government smart or stupid? Government is smart, right? You know to calculate, right? That land is supposed to be condo lah, cannot be EC, right? So typically for me, right, if you can get a BTO in Dawson area, prime area, or Clementi area is considered an EC. All right, just go ahead. Now, of course, is it a better upside than the BTO? Okay, basically very simple. If you want to buy EC, you need to have a deposit of 25%. Now, this down payment, not deposit, down payment 25%. 5% is cash. And of course, your first timer, you have the first timer grant, depending on your income. So you benefit from it. So long that you do your figures diligently, and of course, EC, the supply is not a lot, to be honest. Right now, the supply probably 70% sold, 60% sold, 95% sold in Pyeongtaek Grand, all this area, not a lot of supply. It depends on whether does it meet your budget as well as a loan, all right? So this is what I will share with you, all right? Mr. Liner saying that, what is the price break even for developer in core lawn, core regional? Okay, this is very technical, Mr. Liner, but it's a very good question, very good. Typically, I share this during the training as well to the agents. Very technical because I don't want to bore the crowd here. But of course, you can I can send you some. You can just WhatsApp me. I can send you some details on the government land sales. How does the break even come across? Because it's too technical, a lot of calculation, and a lot of people when it come to calculation, right? Sian liao. Then they'll turn off the Zoom. Then we'll see the numbers getting less and lesser. Okay. Definitely feel free to WhatsApp me or text me. I'm very free. I'm very happy to share with you. All right. Any more?
Yeah, the previous.
Okay, Q&A. Wow, a lot there. Can share your S&P.
No, sorry, that was earlier.
Earlier on, right?
Yeah, I think you answered most of this.
So there's Q&A. We have the chat as well.
Okay.
Okay, good. Very good question.
Okay, let me answer a few questions, and then so someone asked, "Hi, Mr. Lu. The S&P is at all-time high right now. Do we still DCA in?" This is a big debate. Okay. Now the S&P historically goes like that. Now you will have times where you invest and it looks very high, but over time it goes higher. Okay. Will it not go down? It could. So my take is that that my strategy that I so strongly, I will share is that you split your cash into half. Then consider one chunk for DCA. You can take small bite size when it's at this kind of high levels, and then make sure you keep a bigger chunk where when it crashes you have something going. And then the other one is you take stock of where your total portfolio is. If you're like me, a lot into shares, you don't need to continue to push money into it, right? So your asset allocation is important as well. Okay, let me cover the next one. Then I can have maybe Dragon, you can cover the Jason question.
Okay, Jason. Okay, Jason asked a question. Is it good to invest in one-bedroom studio for passive rental income? Okay, basically, you have to ask yourself very clearly, what is your definition of passive rental income? Does it mean that your renter, after deducting your money installment, your maintenance, you have to give you a positive cash flow? Or does it mean that, because these days, right, the renter just cover nicely. Renter is going up, that's for sure. But it's covered nicely for your money installment, it cover nicely for your so-called the maintenance. All right, which of course your principal and your so-called the saving and your interest, your expenses are fully covered. So this is my own definition because I'm a person who is very, very, I'm very simple man. If I go into something that is a property that's physical structure, this is my definition. If you are saying that, I just want to so-called getting more positive cash flow, probably not a lot. All right, and of course, when you buy something for invest. Two things, capital growth plus rental passive income. So I hope they answer the question.
Okay,
Mr. Lu.
I'll go to the next one. We probably can answer another 3 or 4 more. Hi, Mr. Lu. Through scrimping and living frugally, I've saved about 1.5 million. My goal is to generate enough cash flow to cover my baseline expenses and supplement with project work I'm enjoying doing. Should I invest in S&P 500 for dividends? And if so, how to with the all high sales charge and government taxes, or should I invest in a property to generate rent? That's a great question. First of all, very important is to look at a total portfolio. How you allocate your asset. Do you have enough representation? In all buckets. From what I guess is that you're probably overweighted in cash. You probably have a house, and probably think that you don't invest much in stocks. So the first question is, you should have a better distribution of your assets in various places so that you have diversification. S&P 500 don't give you much dividends. Okay, there are dividend stocks. I'm not a fan of dividend stocks, but there are people who swears by it. If you want to know why I'm not happy with why I don't like dividend stocks, I have a YouTube video. It's in my channel. Please look at it. But however, I would strongly suggest that you first look at your asset allocation. Okay, and if you find that yourself is underweighted in property, you can think about it. But if you're already overweighted in property, then you can has some representation in a broad-based index, and you do not need to rush into it. You can DCA yourself slowly into it. Okay. All right. Cool. That's all. Answer the question. Let me see.
I think I'm very happy. I think there are many millionaires in this webinar.
Yeah.
We thank you for attending. Okay. Any more questions?
Endowers. Yeah. Okay. I'll cover a few. How do you buy S&P 500 using cash through Endowers or Phillip Capital? What's the minimum cash needed? Well, Endowers is the main advantage of Endowers is that they can allow you to use CPF to invest in S&P 500. Other than that, there are other options. Okay, and I seriously don't want to say which option is better. You can use cash. You can go straight. You can use cash. You can look for robo-advisors and all. All of them, there are the pros and cons. Okay, Endowers, the real advantage of them is that you can buy using CPF. No one else has that. They have monopoly on that. Okay, and the founders are some people I'm very comfortable with and I trust them. And the other one is that the structure of it is that actually you're buying through them, but using UOB Kay Hian. Okay, so again, UOB Kay Hian is unlikely to crash as well. So I think that's a very interesting thing. I think if you tell them that you're from 1865 group, they allow you to buy S&P 500 daily. I think the minimum is 10K. Okay. Next, Eric Cole, what's your opinion on robo investing in SIFE or Endowers? Is it a safe investment? Think of SIFE, Endowers, Stashaway, and a few other guys. These robo investors are actually intermediaries, right? I generally, to be frank with you, don't have a good opinion of investing in startups with big chunk of my money. Right, the fact that they are startups means there is a chance they can fail. Why did I pick Endowers is because structurally they are really a sales arm. You buy through UOB Kay Hian, and so it's quite safe in that sense because UOB Kay Hian is backed up by humongous amount of safety nets. The rest of the robo advisors, I can't comment as much. They have different ways of structuring a company, but as a rule, I will be very careful in dealing with robo-advisors. Okay. The next question I have is: do you look at other ETFs other than S&P 500? The answer is yes, I do, and not just ETFs, but globally diversified funds. I have a large chunk and considerably, maybe even more than S&P 500 in the Nasdaq, but the Nasdaq will attract a lot more volatility. Something I don't share with people a lot because they may not be able to stomach the volatility. But because I've, layers and layers of safety net built up, so I can stomach that easily. And besides, I've been trained to be more a robot than to be a human and investment. So I can stomach some of this volatility a lot. But I was strongly, and I also invest in through a very good company called Provident. It's a very good financial company, not a robo-advisor structure, and they are a dealer for for this fund called Dimension Fund. A Dimension Fund is pretty cool as well. It's done very well also. So I do globally diversified funds. Okay, so that I hope I answer your question. Okay, I thought I saw some for.
I think I saw a question here. Do you think the property will crash?
Okay.
I think there's this Ng Chi Jin, right? I think it's Mr. right? Is it Mr. Ng Chi Jin, right? Okay. So the question is very simple. The question is, Dragon, property goes in a cycle. When do you think that the property market will crash? And when crash, when to go in? So now this question is a very good question because this is a question that I ask myself almost every day. Because I myself am a property owner. I own an EC right now, just to share with you guys. And my EC is going to be MOP next year. And I'm also looking for my next property as well. All right. Now there'll be a second property, that's for sure. Now, question is very simple. Just now, I was sharing with you about the charting itself, if you remember the charting. And over the last 10 years, the government has set in 10 measures. 10 measures, if you notice 10 measures, it was so stringent. And with the increase in labor costs, increase in land prices, increase in construction costs, and the supply is not ramping up at any this time, I don't see any reason that the price will go down. This is my answer here. All right. Is it scary? I can only share with you what I seen back in 2009 to 2013, that 4 good years of property market is because of the US stimulus. So right now we have a low interest rate again. We have the US stimulus. Unless we have something, right, stock market crash more severe than last year, in March, more severe, unless we have a major Asian financial crisis. And okay, property market, when does it crash? Stock market related. It has to be more severe than last year. Number 2, our employment rate, is it high or low? Currently, our employment rate is still very high. It's around 3 to 4% unemployment. And number 3, if you notice, in fact, I prepared a slide, but I'm not going to show here because it's like a lecture. I just share with you what has happened and what has been reported the last few weeks to last few months. All right, statistic by the Singapore statistic has shown that so-called 13.9% or 14% of the household in Singapore, 14%, they're earning more than 20K a month. 14%. How many percent earn more than 13K household income? 35%, or so-called, 30%. 1/3, that's almost 1/3, 30%. And how many household income earn more than 9K? Around 45%. Almost half. Half of the Singapore household income, 45%, is more than 9K. It's all in the news just only a few years back. You can check it out. So long your pay has increment and you make sure that your increment per year, right, is more than what CPF pay you. Because CPF hedged to inflation, 2.5. So long your pay increment is more than 3%, ideally more than 3%. If your boss don't give you pay increment, right, I tell all my clients that I've met over the last 5 years, if your boss refuses to give you increment more than 3% or give you increment 1%, please leave the job because it doesn't hedge against the inflation. It's not in tandem. Just leave the job. All right. So you're going to ask me, property market going to crash? You need to have high unemployment. The ideal situation is where 20 to 30% Singaporean are out of job. A lot of expats leave the country. Wow, then you find a lot of empty houses, nobody rent. Then property market will crash. That's all. Okay, I leave it to Mr. Lu.
Sure. I'll answer 2 questions. There's some questions YouTube as well. Maybe we can take a look. They're all property related. I'll answer 2 or 3 questions on Zoom. The question is, given the Mr. Lu, will you recommend China ETFs? The answer is no, I don't. I personally don't like China ETF. I believe in the economic miracle of China, and I believe that China will continue to boom. I just don't believe in their stocks. A lot of them has a lot of disclosure issues, right? We see, and we have a lot of regulatory risks as well. There's a lot of lack of opaqueness and lack of transparency. So there's a lot of fraud that's going on and things like that. For example, the DD IPO recently, they know that the regulators are coming down hard on them. You know? They didn't disclose. And they IPO, and within a few days, the regulator came out then and suspended their app store downloads, you know, and the stock market crashed and tanked, you know. So in short, I think there's a lot of transparency issues with China stocks, so I generally avoid. Okay, given the annualized, no, sorry. I think the rest. Can we still buy S&P 500 now? I think I've answered the question. It is a time where while it's an all-time high, it could go higher, but I would nibble into it over over dollar cost averaging over a long period of time. Okay, I would prefer to be more patient and wait for a big correction or so. Okay, maybe I'll let you take on the property question.
Okay,
you can 3 or 4 minutes.
A quick one. Okay, the one question by CH Tan, that's 1 hour ago. Is it possible that the land is bought as a freehold, but the developer sell you 99 years lease? It happened before. There's one at the D15 Katong area, Katong area is called The Shore by Far East. So it was a freehold, but they sell you 99 years. 99 years later, it don't go back to government. It go back to the developer. All right. Now, second question, quick one. Now, how come it's by this lady called, I think it's a lady called Hansel Bird White. Anyway, I think that my pronunciation is confirmed wrong. Okay, confirmed wrong one. Okay, sorry for that, Miss White or Mr. White. How come Mandarin Garden own en bloc? Is it because too many units? It's because of the collective sales value. It's easily 2 to 3 billion. When it's 2 to 3 billion in the history of Singapore, there's no such developer who can come alone and can swallow or makan everything. 2 to 3 billion, you need at least 4 developers for a safety net. So it hasn't happened. But will it happen? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. Probably the developer will form a consortium. And then last question over here on my side. What is the best option if a couple want to sell HDB now for profit and go for EC? Now, meaning that, of course, EC will take time. Yes, it takes time, definitely. And does rental a house in the meanwhile worth it? Okay, I have to share with you my favorite EC. At the same time, I question one of you. My favorite EC is Pyrmont Grand. That's where I closed 32 units within the day. I closed for 32 groups of buyers within the day. That was back in 2019 in Punggol itself. Now, during that time, we understand that down payment of 25% is not easy because every household has expenses, regardless how much you earn. You can earn 15K, 16K, 20K a month, but I come across the higher you earn, the more you spend. A lot of high-income households, they don't have actually much saving. Most are in the house. So end up, they make a decision to sell first to free up the CPF to pay for the down payment eventually. So it's what you want. Because I can only do a recommendation. End day it involves you for the next 5 years, not me. So this is what you want. You go ahead. All right. I can only do a recommendation. So that's it for my part here.
Okay.
All right.
I'll cover a few more. Number one is that how many percent of my net worth should be in property? This is very subjective. It depends on the phase of life you're in. I would imagine that for most people, when you're young, you tend to have more in property because that's the only thing you can afford, right? As your age goes up, the amount of shares and CPF and all this thing goes up. Maybe it's very difficult for me to say how many, but I would generally feel that a fairly representative spread. For example, I'm clearly underweighted on property, but I have a large chunk in stocks. I have a large chunk in businesses. I have a large chunk in hedge funds, and so on, and a bit, somewhat in CPF, and clearly, one of my smallest chunk is in property. But it shows that I have a well spread and diversified. I think the spirit is more important than actual percent. Okay. And next is for endowers or CPF OA, how much can we withdraw each time to invest? I think that OA has a certain limit for funds. I'm not very sure, but I would imagine a pretty large chunk of the OA can be invested for endowers. I think the key is, again, I need to stress, be patient, right? Be patient, spread out your purchase. There's no need to rush everything, hum into it. It's not a great Singapore sale, not a great US sale right now. That chance I've told everybody, that when a crash happened in a YouTube video, and I've published, articles on it, that chance is over. Okay. And that's why you need to sign on and subscribe to my page so that when there's an alert, I will quickly announce that I'm going in big time. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
I think one last one.
Okay.
Okay. Vivian asked for money saved for wedding and home renovation. to be used in next 3 years? Is it advisable to leave it in a bank or put the money in some money market funds for potentially high returns? The key thing is liquidity, right? So first of all, if you need the money in the next 2-3 years, don't ever put it into some high risk investment. Okay, it can vaporize. It can vaporize, and because you are stressed that is so important to you, you will make silly decisions. So therefore, when things like that, there's no harm putting in a very, very safe environment called the bank. Okay, and maybe even in some cash management fund, which is nearly almost like the bank. Okay, so I would say that it's something that if you need the money, don't touch it for any other investment. Okay, with that, any last comment?
Any last point? I think that just now from the YouTube, there was this comment by Ryan. He was answering that so far there was a 9 trillion that was being printed by US. 9 trillion. Wow, I didn't know so much. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't know the figure. I know it's trillion already. Confirm trillion.
Yeah, I don't think we hit 9 trillion yet. Yeah.
All right. And of course, Ryan was asking, how does the stock market crashes affect housing market in the past in Singapore?
Okay. Generally, they move in the same direction. Generally, but there's a lag effect. Okay, one will be faster than the other. We see this happening in 1997 in a big way. Both went down. Okay, the stock market went down first, then the property market went go down. And for a long time, both were down, but the stock market will usually rebound first. So, but sometimes there's no correlation, especially in the Singapore stock market. Singapore stock market is one of the worst stock market in the world. Okay, I've said again and again and again, and you will see the Singapore stock market has been like that since long time ago. 2008 until now is still shit. Okay,
DBS is now $30,
but that is one stock out of the entire stock market. The whole Straits Times index has been flat and nearly dead for many years. But however, the property market has been riding waves after wave. So we do see disjoint, but one rise up because of Black Swan event. One is flattish because the whole market is just shit. Okay, so yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Okay, Ryan asked a question. With the ABSD of 10%, I think it's 12. Second property is 12%. Is it still worthwhile to buy a second property? So Ryan, I'd love to, probably you own a HDB. If you own a HDB, you want to go for a second property, you have to sell to avoid, not to pay the ABSD lah. I said avoid next moment, IRAS call me. Wow, So if you own a HDB, you want to go for second property, there's no way that you can do this thing called decoupling. In the past, you can. That was in 1st April Fool Day, 2016. I remember the date because I did for 2 of my clients. Husband and wife, one become occupier, and the occupier going to buy a condo. So HDB ran out. So this happened in the past, 1st April 2016. Now, if you own a HDB, go for a second property, you pay ABSD 12%. I say 12% is around 120K for 1 year property. You may as well put this 120K in S&P. Probably give you better return because either you give to S&P, put in S&P, or you give to IRAS. So see which one you want. Now, if you want to own 2 property for HDB owner, is to sell a HDB 1 person by 1. But you have to do a good financial calculation. Everything has to be within your own budget. And then you have to factor in your stress test. What if one day you're out of job? Very common one. Even till now, I would think, what if one day I'm not working anymore? Because by not working is 手停口停. This is 手停口停to our non-Chinese friend means that once you stop everything, you stop your rice bowl, you have no income. All right. So do a stress test. All right. Stress test more than 6 months. People say 6 months, right? All the insurance advisor, whatever guru say 6 months, right? I'll say 12 months. Because take a look at Malaysia. 6 months also cannot last. Right now it's 1.5 years. All right. Now, if you own an EC, you own a condo, simple. Because just now I was sharing with you guys, I'm going for my second property next year for sure. Me and my wife, we own the EC. So likelihood, the EC is almost fully paid. I'll give it to her because I love my wife. It's more. Because okay, so today we not only talk about investment, we talk about relationship. The most important thing why you're doing all these things, it's not nonsense. Of course, it's planning, retirement plan. It's for a loved one. So to me, invest in relationship with your loved one, even to your friends, business associate. To my mentor, we invest in relationship. And a person who invests a lot in relationship, even to my client, I'm very generous to all my clients. Of course, there are people who are but I would say that one factor that determines your success and how you don't need to have everybody to like you, but how you're able to be a strong universal magnet that you can attract positive energy to you is that you have to invest in relationship. All right. So I plan to so-called part share my current EC to my wife so that my name can be exited. And then from there, right, I'll buy my second property. In this way, I need not pay ABSD 12%. So I hope probably I can answer your question. Okay, that's it for my part.
Okay, so we've reached the end of the show. I will try to get my video editor to shrink this 2-hour video into maybe 10-15 minutes if possible, just to capture some of the key points. But I really appreciate everybody. Do follow us very closely on our YouTube channels, both on Dragon Resources and also on 1065. And we hope that you do well in your financial investment, your property investment. And we look forward to next talk with you.
Remember to subscribe and like our YouTube channel.
Okay.
1M65 Dragon Tan. So simple, so easy to remember, right? 1M65 and Dragon Tan.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you soon.
All right. Good night.
Production.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Thanks for watching us.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Any question? Feel free to contact Mr. Lu or feel free. Yeah.
Thank you.
Within our capacity, we'll just answer your question. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Okay. You're coming in or saying
okay. Good. See.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, it was a good 2 hour.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good.
Okay. You have?
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, no, probably I take cereal.
Oh, goodness.
Don't want they mention my face so round. Probably the next video, I need to slim down.
Okay, come.
I'm trying to slim down also.
Let's end it.
Okay, 34, okay, 31. Yeah, meaning that they are really listening. So good.
Sure.
If they're not listening, right, probably the number is still there, 100 plus. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Yeah.
Okay. Let's end.
Okay, we can just end, no problem. I recorded the video as well.